Thank you, Kenny. On the screen, you see our theme for the year. Let's all say this one together, too. The art of
abundance. A year for courage, creativity, and commitment.
Our speaker this morning is someone who's been with us a few times. For those of you who don't know, Reverend Robyn was the senior minister at UD of Oroville for 4 years, and then at Davis for 4 years. And she's now joined us in Southern California and is interested in being our minister. So let's please welcome back our dear Reverend RevRobynPlante.
Clicker, right on the right?
Right forward.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's great to be back here. And are you enjoying the turn of the season? You know, we're on the eve of autumn. How many of you, that's your favorite season? Yeah, I love autumn too. There's some meh in there too. But I love this collective energy of celebrating the bounty. You know, there's that energy of, yes, look at our harvest. Let's celebrate this abundance. I see signs for pumpkin patches and pumpkin spice everything. And Trader Joe's last night had apple everything. It was kind of fun just to spot it all over the store. Did you know that in the ancient world, the grain was called a pulse? Just like you would take your pulse, spelled the same way. And the community would collect the pulse for food that gives life. And part of this process was discerning and separating the outworn structure, the husk that was inedible, from the edible grain. So it's a time of discernment as well. So this can be fall can be a time for us too to celebrate our spiritual harvest, to sift, to sort in order to discern what nourishes you, what gives life. Right now you have a lot of things in your life that are good, right? Yes? And you've said yes to some things that have allowed that good in. So the question can become, we can ask ourselves, what do I want to say yes to going forward in my life? So as Mark mentioned, this community is in a time of discernment. Selecting your next leader, whether it's me or someone else. And I want you to know that I stand with you in prayer, knowing that God is at work right now in this holy choice for the highest and best leadership that will bring abundant love, joy, prosperity, and more light to this community here and in our wider community. So I stand in prayer with you for that. Say yes to that?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. So, today we say yes to God, to good, to life. And that's easy to do on Sundays, right? Because we're in this collective energy of knowing, of possibility, of expansion, and abundant love. But what about during the week? Do you sometimes struggle with choices? Which reminds me of the story of the father and son who were walking to market with their donkey. And they overheard a group of people talking who said, "Look at those fools. Both of them walk, and not either of them rides the donkey." So the father put the boy on the donkey. And after a while, they passed another group who commented, "Look at this strong boy. Is this the youth of today? No respect for the elderly. He's riding the donkey while the poor father has to walk." So after these people had passed, the son felt ashamed and he persuaded his father to switch places. So the father got on the donkey and the boy walked. A short time later, they passed another group of people who said, "Now, look at this. The poor young boy has to walk while the father's riding the donkey." When these people passed by, the father said to his son, "I think the best solution is if we both ride. That way we can avoid any criticism." And so they did. After a short distance, they came across another group of people who said, "Look at that poor donkey, having to carry both of them. That animal's exhausted." So they both got off the donkey, and the man carried the donkey. And when the people saw this, they laughed and pointed and said, "Oh, look at this poor man laboring in the heat. Carrying this donkey? What's the point of having a donkey if you have to carry it?" So the man put the donkey down, and father and son walked as they had at the beginning of the journey. And now the father turned to his son and said, I bet you could finish the story, right? He said, "The truth is you can't please everyone, so you just have to do what you know is right and please God." Amen to that, huh? So I love these stories. They come from the Sufi tradition of Mullah Nasruddin, who has these teaching situations, and he's often called the wise fool or the holy fool. So do we sometimes act like the holy fool, where part of us knows better, but we get swayed and ignore the wiser choice? Has that ever happened? No. It's interesting that I see this on social media, so many opinions. Do this, no, do that. Think this, no, think that. And so we're really, what I see the gift of all of this is we're really honing in on our power of discernment. What is right and true? And I remember, and we can remember, this advice from Paul, this wisdom from Paul from Romans 12:2. "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds, so that you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect." In other words, don't let your mind be molded by outer conditions or others' opinions, fears, or judgments. Claim your power, be transformed, renew your mind. We have this ability, this choice. But the key here is we have to want a renewal of mind, don't we? Sometimes that means letting go of the willfulness to allow the willingness of that higher wisdom. Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, identified some spiritual faculties or powers that we have, and divine wisdom is one of them. So we let go of our willfulness to have the willingness to stop, to breathe, to pray, to align with that one presence and power. Slow down a little bit and to let our decisions come from that place. You've said yes to a lot of things in your life that have brought you joy, prosperity, satisfaction. And sometimes this has happened by trial and error, right? You know, we make those choices that don't turn out so well, but have you noticed we get another chance somewhere to do it differently? I call it the holy do-over. And we can ask for that do-over too, you know, in relationships, when we have greater wisdom that we want to employ, we can say, you know what, when we talked last week, can we have a do-over? What I wished I would have said is this. Yeah, because wisdom comes from experience, but it's only wisdom if we apply it, right? So Jesus advised us to judge not by appearance, but judge with right judgment, meaning discernment, wisdom. So our yes can be yes and our no will be no, that we have such clarity in that choice that we can move forward instead of spin around in doubt. Has that ever happened? Yeah, the hamster wheel, right? But when we get clear and call forth our spiritual power of divine wisdom and get quiet and listen, that is a clear yes or a clear no. So how do we know that our choice has come from that spiritual wisdom and not the ego? Some people feel it in the pit of their stomach. That's where we had our meditation today, that power center. How many of you can recognize that in your body somewhere, that if it's a yes, ooh, yeah, it feels good. For me, I get this image, my yes is like, I think of like 7-Up bubbles. Like it's like, ooh, yeah. Or if it's a no, you know, feel it in the gut. I hear it like we used to have fire drills when I taught school. You know, so that's my no. But I bet you each have your way of discerning what is your yes, because your body is wise, and what is your no. Choices from divine wisdom give us peace. As one of my friends says, she knows her way is that the choice she makes helps her sleep good at night. So we all have times where we go through challenges in our lives, and these things may be difficult to remember. But that's when we reach out for help. Calling Silent Unity 24/7. Someone is there to pray with you and hold the light for you and with you. Calling a friend or a family member, journaling, getting out in nature. Going to a 12-step group, being heard, coming to Sunday service. Sometimes it's getting support from a therapist or a counselor. But know that if you're going through something right now, you don't have to go through it alone. That God is with you right here, right now. And there is support that you can reach out for. And to know that this too shall pass. There will be a time where you will be on the other side of it, whatever is happening now. Whether it's tomorrow, next week, a month from now, there will be a time where you will be on the other side. And we can take the wisdom from whatever we go through, the joyous times and the difficult times. Next month I'll be talking about the power of community and the healing quality it can have for us. So we can reach out, and we can also reach in with our unity tools. And that's one of the things I love about unity is that we have these spiritual tools that we can learn and apply to live our best life, to have less stress and worry and more joy and love and satisfaction in life. So today we're going to fire up our unity power tool of denial and affirmation. We hear a lot about affirmations, but not too much about unity denials. But they're designed to work together for maximum effect. First the denial, then the affirmation. How many of you have worked with unity denials or denial and affirmation? Quite a few. Great. So, the practice of denial and unity is our ability to say no to that which is not spiritually true. A statement of denial dissolves, erases, and releases any error thoughts we may have. And I want to clarify that a unity denial is different from a psychological denial. That with a psychological denial, one pretends that something's not happening or everything's okay when it's not. That's not recommended. But a unity denial is not about denying facts or feelings, but it's about denying the permanence of facts and feelings, because facts change, feelings shift. Emotions are energy in motion. A unity denial is not about denying pain or pretending a condition does not exist. Rather, it's about denying our identification with the condition. Because we are so much more than any outer condition. We are so much more than our bodies. So much more than our emotions, so much more than our thoughts, so much more than our bank accounts or our roles in life. A unity denial is also about denying compliance with collective consciousness that is focusing on lack. Just because 1,000 people are thinking it, we don't have to jump in there. Denying compliance with collective consciousness that is in scarcity or scare-city. So the practice of denial is very powerful. And some ways that it might sound like this. If you have something that's been spinning in your mind, a denial can sound like this. I refuse to entertain the idea that, fill in your blank, I no longer dwell on thoughts of, I release and let go of the idea that, and here's an all-purpose one, I deny that this person, condition, or thought has any power to keep me from my good.
Amen.
Amen.
Charles Fillmore said that denial is like sweeping the cobwebs from your mind of old error thoughts of who and what you are not. So when might we want to use these? Times when we find ourselves getting frustrated, fearful, anxious, feeling separate from God, from ourselves, from others, or caught up in the past and beating ourselves up about something. And we want to return to the present moment of the truth of who we are. That's a good time to use a unity denial. So here's an example of how we could use this, and I've used this more than once with my relationship with technology. One time, it was Saturday afternoon in writing my Sunday lesson, and the printer doesn't work. Oh, that's okay. Go to FedEx and do it. But then the screen goes blank. Okay. Been working for several hours now. And as I felt anxiety bubbling up, rising, and fear thoughts started knocking, I said, okay, stop. Let's just do a unity denial. So it sounded something like this. I deny that technology has any power to keep me from creating this Sunday lesson. And I refuse to entertain the idea that this computer's activity has any ability to affect my peace. And I affirm, because when you do a denial, you always want to follow that with an affirmation. And I affirm that the abundance I know God is and I am is here. And I trust in the free flow of creative solutions coming to me now. You can feel the shift of energy around that, right?
Did it work?
I walked away for a while because I let go. I thought, you know what? Pen and paper, right, Jackie? Jackie Hawkins, my ministerial classmate and friend. And so I let go. I let go of it. So part of it is letting go and trusting, right? And I came back, turned it off, turned it on, and everything worked.
Did you start to rewrite it by hand?
No. Yeah, but I would. Or, you know, my other thought was, or gasp, no notes at all. You know? So it's really about asserting your intention to align with the highest good and letting it go and trusting. Because this returns us to a sense of peace. And when we make decisions from a fearful place, we usually don't get the results we want, right? Decisions based on fear always backfire. That's been my experience. But if we take time to center, we know we can make the right choice. So affirmations, we do this every week here. It's in our daily word, it's in our program here. Affirmation is our ability to say yes to that which is spiritually true. A statement of affirmation claims, plants, and builds conscious awareness of who and what we truly are. Who and what we truly are. Behind every human face, something eternal is going on. Look around you. To those next to you, there is a beautiful expression of God sitting next to you and all around you. Something eternal is going on. I am wise, loving, discerning, creative, abundant. Unity affirmation fixes our attention on that eternal spiritual truth. And we repeat these affirmations so they can sink in deep. That it's not just up here, but it goes in the heart and it goes deep into our subconscious. We embody it. So since this community is focusing on abundance this year, here's what a denial and affirmation in the area of prosperity might sound like. Denial. I refuse to entertain the idea that I am meant to struggle with making ends meet. I release any notion of lack and limitation connected to past circumstance. I deny that past thoughts of lack have any power to keep me from my present good. And I affirm that I am one with God, the infinite source of all. Evidence of good is all around me. And I am abundance in action as I give and receive in love. So let us close by saying yes together to God, to good, to life, with this affirmation. Together. I refuse to entertain ideas of fear, lack, or limitation. I know who I am. I am a spiritual being, a portable paradise of peace, love, joy, and prosperity. Divine wisdom guides me in every decision. I am whole and complete in each moment and in every experience. Take a breath and just breathe that in. So this week, celebrate your growing season. Harvest your good and feast on your pulse of life. Thank you.